Hello everybody. So in this video we are going to discuss about some naming conventions. So in the previous video we have discussed the identifiers, and identifiers are certain names, and we have discussed certain character sets and certain rule for creating some identifiers. Now here we are going to talk about conventions. Conventions means if you do not follow, it will not give you any problem. Compiler will not result in any kind of compilation error if you do not follow these conventions. But these conventions are laid down so that as a programmer, as a developer, when you will follow these conventions, then it will help you as well as your team members in writing the code. And the entire Java library is following the same naming conventions. So let us understand what are those naming conventions. So there are 4 different types of things that we create in Java programming. So for all those 4 types of things, there are separate naming conventions. So first of all, we will discuss the naming convention for declaring the identifier for some class, interface and enum. So for declaring the identifier for class, interface and enum, the naming convention says that every word's first letter should be capital. Every word's first letter should be in uppercase, rest other characters should be in the lowercase. It means suppose I have to declare a class with the name Ravi, Kant, Sahu. So how you will write? You will write like this: R-A-V-I. Ravi is the first word. So every word's first letter is capital. Kant, second word, so K is capital, and Sahu. So this is how you will be creating the identifier for some class, enum and interface. If you want to create some visibility, so you can use here underscore also, right? Similarly, if you have to create some identifier for method or a function. So method or a function and the variable, these two are having the same naming convention, that is every word's first letter should be capital except the first word, right. So except the first word, rest other words first letter should be capital, but for the first word, first letter will be in the lower case. It is also called as camel case in the normal terminology. So for example, I have to write a function calculate interest. So how I will write calculate interest function name? You will write here calculate interest. So if you check here, calculate interest is having 2 words, calculate and interest. So calculate C is in the lower case because it is the first word of the identifier, but interest I is capital because the subsequent words first letter will be in the uppercase. So same way variables if you are writing, so for variable name also the same naming convention is followed. Let us say I have to create a variable number of days. So how I will create a variable number of days? Let us say I am creating int number of days. So here if you can see, number is the first word, so n is in the lower case, then of is the second word and days is the third word, their capital first character, right. The number of days. So this O is capital, this D is capital, right. Now the last one is the constants. So in case of Java, constants are having the naming convention all uppercase. The constants are declared in all uppercase fashion. So, let us say I have to declare some constant like max. So, we can write here final, as I have already told you that in case of Java constants are declared using final. So, final int max. So, I will write here max. If I have to declare a constant max salary, so I will write here max. I want to use underscore. So, you can write here and you can write salary. So, this is how the naming convention for constants is all uppercase. For functions and the variables it is camel case, and for the classes, interfaces and enums it is capitalize each word, means every word's first letter is capital. Again repeating the same thing, if you do not follow these naming conventions, still it is not going to create any problem. Compiler will not have any objection. This is your moral responsibility that you should follow this naming convention. It will help you as well as others to use your program in their applications or programs, right. I can just make you understand with a small example how the naming convention is going to facilitate the programmers. So, let us say I have created a function and the function name is check prime, right. Let us say I have created a function check prime. So, I will be writing following the naming convention. So, I will be writing like this check prime. But if suppose I am not following the naming convention, so I could have written something like this also. So, just think about how difficult it is to tell you what is the name of my function. I will have to tell for each and every character. If you have not written this program, someone else want to use this function, so we will have to tell each and every word ki okay, this character is in uppercase, this character is in lower case and so on. Otherwise, the compiler will say ki cannot find symbol, right. So, this is how it is going to be difficult if it is not following the naming convention, and if you follow the naming convention, it will ease your programming as well as help others to use your program. So, that is all about the naming conventions in Java. Thank you.